Well, we're here for World of Dance Season 3.
Yes.
I'm a tremendous fan from the beginning with like Twins and then the Lab last year. With all the different styles that are emerging, it still looks like the audience is continuing to resonate to these upbeat hip hop isolation type of styles.
Sure.
Do you think that trend is still going to continue into Season 3? I
think, it's interesting you say that because in the hip hop, community and the talent that's coming out of that genre, it's interesting. It's quite saturated actually, which is great. But the problem with that is that there's you have to stand out. There's like, how are you going to stand out from everybody else? Because there's so many. And so there is a challenge as the seasons progress. How are you going to be different from the Lab? How are you going to be different from the Twins? But this season there's so many different styles, and again, that are just beautiful and constantly, for me, I'm like, I feel like I've seen this before, and then all of a sudden I'm like, no, they surprise me. They do something completely different. It's so innovative and unique and interesting and very, very exciting. So there are definitely trends, and you can see that, especially with the isolations. And when we watch Instagram, you can see like dances and pop up. And but I will say actually that a lot of dancers that are popular on Instagram come, and sometimes it doesn't translate, on the competitive stage.
Right.
It's a very different ball game, from showcasing something, presenting something, and then competing against other acts. It's a completely different mindset. So
when you get all of these talented people together, like you have the hip hop dancers in the traditional ballroom and lyrical and all the different styles, are you starting to see in the competitors more fusions of those types of styles of dance?
The lines are completely blurred, now, really, where if I'm talking to a contemporary dancer, they are fully versed in hip hop. They can tap, they can do other styles, also ballroom and Latin dancing. They're now, for me personally, like when I dance in my shows and when I do, I infuse a lot. I always infuse. It's not just Latin or ballroom. It's contemporary. It's hip hop. It's flamenco. And I think that these dancers coming also know, and they bring that as well. They bring a huge fusion, and it's great. It's great for dancing because it just creates just magic on the stage.
I have a team that kind of keeps me up on a lot of the Instagram stars. I've seen like the Key to the Greats and Sienna Lalau and all the people who have gone out for World of Dance to just kind of gather people. You said that sometimes the Instagram style doesn't translate onto the big stage. What do you think is the style that has the most difficulty in translating from that micro platform to the grand stage and for the show lights? I
think tap has always struggled in any competition show that's dance. I think because it's one of those styles that, unless you can appreciate the sounds that are coming out of their feet, what you're watching aesthetically sometimes isn't as pleasing than watching like some isolations that if anybody's watching that can go, oh, that looks beautiful, that looks interesting. So it's been a tough battle for tap to basically step into the now, I guess you could say, because it's kind of it's more old-timey, classic dance. But this season, actually, we have some people who've been doing that, which is very exciting because it's something we've been waiting for. But yeah, I think that when you're doing like a dance, say like at Millennium, right, and you see those videos online, they're doing classes, that's an controlled environment, and they get to capture it the way they want to get captured, and they can shoot it in a certain frame rate, which makes it look a little bit faster. There's certain things that you can do to.
I never knew that because you see the camera person, they're in and out, and they're doing that type of style. I didn't realize it was sped.
There's a frame.
Too.
It's not sped up. It's a frame rate. So there's a frame rate that you usually shoot in that just makes the moves look a little like crisper, a little faster. Whereas like on the show, it's true. It's like true frame rate where you do something and it might. In that class it looked super fast and super intricate, and then on this stage you're like, oh, it didn't quite resonate as strong as I was hoping. So it's a different balance. You have to rethink choreography. You have to rethink, the structure of what you're doing. And it's also not just like a 20-second clip. You know what I mean? It's like a minute and a half of being out there. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I love how dance has just exploded on the internet and on social media. I think it's amazing. But I also will say, and I say this to people out there, I'm like, just make sure that you're doing the technique too. Make sure you're not just going in there to do a choreography and then video it and go home. Like, do the technique, do the work. You can't skip it. You can't skip it, and because when you get into these situations, you see it.
As a person who's competed in many different styles of dance, what's a style that you haven't seen that often from the contestant pool that you would like to see again? Because we see lots of waltzers and flamencos and hip hop and all those lyrical, and tap. But is there a certain style that you'd like to see people be more confident and try to bring to the platform?
For me personally, I would love a certain caliber of Latin and ballroom dancers to come on the show. I feel like I know all of them pretty much. I know of them. Unfortunately, they're competing and they're too busy. But I would love to see them in this environment and just see how they do. Just see how it goes. They are the absolute top in their game in the ballroom and Latin world that America hasn't really seen before. I would be interested to see how it would play out. I'm fascinated about that.
As with the judges, you all are loving with your critique with the contestants. There's really no mean judge on the show. But in terms of what we don't see when the camera's not cutting, who do you think is the toughest on the contestants?
Sure. I think we all kind of are, honestly. Like, we're all kind of, and for different reasons. You know what I mean? I'll find something. Like the other day, we had a conversation the other day, and I disagreed with Jennifer because she likes a story, she likes a narrative, she likes something that she can connect to. Right. And I 100% agree, but I also agree that you don't necessarily need one. That it can just be a beautiful performance. So it depends on what it is, and who it is. So sometimes I'm like, I didn't like it, and like, I just don't think it's right. And then they might fight back and push back and vice versa. Yeah, I don't know. Because here's the thing. When something's good, it's like, it's kind of undeniable to a point. It's when you get in that gray area that we're like, no, they don't have it, not yet, And I think that's the reason why, by the way, that we're not like, you're terrible, get off the stage, because there's nobody that's terrible.
Right.
There's nobody that's terrible. That's the whole point of this whole show, is that it's the best of the best. This is the highest caliber of dancing you'll see on television. So
I couldn't agree more. I was just going to say, there is no ringer that's thrown in who comes in and does a hokey pokey. Everyone is of a stellar level of dance. With the vetting system, have you ever had the opportunity when they're doing the initial vetting to find the contestants just to kind of check it out and see?
I would love to, actually. And actually, there's people that I've put forward and I say, like, I think these guys should audition. I think I've seen somebody, could be online, on Instagram. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys are fantastic. Like, you guys should check these guys out. Or I know these guys in London who are amazing. Check them out. They didn't work out, but for me, I'm always looking. I'm always looking all year round. Even the show's not on, my eyes are always open for people I would love to work with, collaborate with, but also who I think would be amazing on the show and who should come and compete. So that's what's kind of great about the show too, is that it's a world where we're not. I don't know. We're all three of us are such fans, and we're such advocates for dance, and we're very passionate about it, and. Yeah, I don't know. It's awesome to see this show thrive. It really is.
And lastly, what will this year's winner have to do to set them apart from Lake Twins, from the lab? What does this year's winner need to bring to the stage to elevate them to that level of winning?
It's interesting because it's hard to pinpoint sometimes, because sometimes it's like it's a reaction, right? It's a feeling that you go, oh my gosh, that's it, them, But it just has to be the perfect formula. It really does. It has to have everything: the choreography, the creativity, the innovation, the execution of the dance. Because sometimes you're like, that was a great idea, but it didn't execute quite well. It needs to be something that just stands out. That's it, really. It just needs to be outstanding, you know, and stand out. I think that's it. Because, you know, in a field where it can get saturated, you got to be the one who goes, I remember them. I love them. And that's how the lab was.
Yeah.
Every week they came out with something new, something exciting, something interesting. And also, one more thing too, they had to peak at the right time.
Yeah.
Because some people come in strong, come in hot, and then they have this dip, and then sometimes they either recover from that dip and they go back up and they peak at the right time, or they just
Fall apart.
continue down. It's a marathon.
Right.
So it's like competitive stamina, if you will.
All right.